It's Wednesday afternoon, and we're here at the fabulous Hotel del Coronado, as we are several times a year. And delighted to welcome you all here. We have an exciting guest speaker who will be talking to us momentarily. And if you brought your checkbook, you can pay your property tax on the way out and save 54 cents on first class postage. All right, here we go with Doug St. Dennis, invocation and pledge.
Thank you, President Bob. Today, I'm going to read you a poem by the Canadian poet Uli Kay, if you know her work. I cleared this with President Bob. It's called Let's Be the Ones. Let's be the ones who still believe in the art of moved mountains, in gracious conversations, in inviting a stranger to tell their story. Let's be the ones who still gasp at small wonders and cheer at small changes and soak in small moments. Let's carry each other and unburden each other. And let's not feel that we ourselves are too heavy for somebody else to carry. Let's stop pretending and start being okay with falling apart and falling together. Let's open our hearts wide enough so that the ones who are afraid to speak find their voices. Let's be gentle and brave and hopeful. And let's love like tomorrow isn't a promise, because it isn't. Dear traveler, listen. Time does not always wait for us to get it right. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. War Eagle.
Thank you, Doug. And now it's my pleasure to welcome the favorite past President Dan Orr for visiting Rotarians and guests.
Well, we found some of our visiting Rotarians found us down here at the Hotel del Coronado, including in private banking from LA5, Chris Ciesco. Hi, Chris. Okay, you're going to get Dan Orr's Rotary Minute. Try this again. You say, hi, Chris. Hi. Okay. Casinos. An upgrade from preschools. From Las Vegas, Nevada, Gary Voss. There we go. And now, for our final one, who was inducted and then thrown out immediately because he's a politician. That's what you told me. Dan McAllister. Not me. That's the best I can in skill set. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Forgot that.
Yes.
Yes, the Rotarians. I bet we have lots. Ginger.
President Bob, fellow Rotarians and guests, it's my pleasure to reintroduce Carol Young, who is James Zimmerall's special guest. President Bob and fellow Rotarians, I brought my husband, Rob Jordan, to listen to Dan McAllister.
Charlie.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I have Miss Carolina joining us today.
President Bob, fellow Rotarians and guests, we have visiting with us today Jesse and Courtney Brown, and Tom and Amy Dahl, and their children Tommy and Sydney. And Jesse and Amy are the children of Terry Brown, whom we will be remembering today.
Any more? For Forkins, we're done.
Let's do it. Thank you, Past President Dan. Okay, let's take a look at the first slide. Red Badgers. If you are a Red Badger, would you please stand? And if you are a sponsor of a Red Badger who is here, would you also please stand? All right, we have, we're going to save that one, but we have, well, some of these are, that I have the Red Badge list, and it's, I'm going to pass on that because almost all of them have actually been already turned into Blue Badges. But Kathy McDonald, I think I saw here, okay, and Brandon Mather, and we're going to pull his tag here, and Chris Shearhorn, we're going to pull his tag, and Marty, I think we already pulled your tag, didn't we? Yep, okay. So we need to adjust our Red Badge list. That's what we have, okay. Now let's go to updates and announcements, okay. All right, on the docket today, pay attention if you're trying to go to the RI convention up in Calgary next year. Today is the last day for getting the discount price. So if you're thinking about that, jump online and register. Alternate meeting featuring the SEAL panel is going to be tomorrow, Thursday at 6 p.m., the usual spot. Monthly social, this is a change from the co-rotator, so please make note of it. It is actually going to be on Thursday the 6th at 5:30 at Sandra Treadwell. And a note on the governor's dinner, which is going to be on Monday the 24th. We have one table filled already. We have a second table, and we're looking for more folks to fill that. If you'd like to go to the governor's dinner, contact Suzanne Manuel or Jane Simmerall. Okay. Next slide. Okay, we've got an email from Rotary International, and they've notified me that they're working on populating the nominating committee for RI president coming up. And club presidents are authorized to cast this vote on behalf of their club, and they have to put this in by the 15th of June. And the qualifications for sitting on this committee are to be a past RI director from Zone 26, and also to have volunteered. So there are two candidates that have put their names in for this, and so they've invited me to solicit a vote from a membership at a meeting. Does not require a quorum, simply a membership meeting, and that's what we have here today. Now, we have a large club, and we get credit for one vote for every 25 members. So I'll be casting a vote in the number of 10, and we will likely carry. So let me introduce you to the two candidates. We have, I have trouble pronouncing this, Jorita Solari, who is from Alameda, and she has quite a distinguished career, and you can see what she's done for Rotary International as it's detailed there. And the second candidate, oh, well, look at that, John Matthews. Well, as president conducting this meeting, I'd like to entertain a motion. And I recognize Suzanne Popp, past president Suzanne Popp. We can come up here. Unless Doug gets to you first.
Thank you, President Bob, fellow Rotarians. I move for an unanimous consent to cast our club vote for past District Governor John Matthews as the member of the nominating committee for Rotary International President representing Rotary International Zone 26.
Thank you, Past President Suzanne. And the floor recognizes Doug St. Dennis.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, and all in favor for me casting the votes to send John Matthews to the nominating committee for President of RI, signify by raising your hand. Is there any dissent? Okay, none noted, and we will send that in as a unanimous proclamation. Travel well, John. Okay. All right, next one. Okay, this one I do need a quorum for it, and I don't have it. I didn't expect to have it today, so we're going to roll this one until we do have a quorum, which can be met by a virtual attendance as well. Next slide. Okay, save the date. Go do your bicycle riding preparation or running for the low tide on June 23rd. And next slide. We did have a board meeting last week, and it was suggested to me, I like the idea that we should share what we do in terms of grants each month. So I have a late start on this in my tour, but these are the organizations or activities that we honored with cash grants at the board meeting this past month. Rams Players, SAFE, COSA, our beloved San Pasqual Academy, and the youth football, which is actually half a grant because that one actually will include the cheer as well, and we're going to commit an additional $500 to that at our next board meeting. Okay, next slide. I did get a postcard from the Edge from Pat and Debbie. He says that you have to ask for extra vodka and the Singapore slings wherever he was hanging out. Next slide. Our tip of the hat to Ginger Cox and Jenny Johnson and Brandon Mather for going out there and working and doing such great work at the IB food pantry. Well done, you guys. Next slide. As you know, this past weekend was Memorial Day, and I think members of this club all combined either put up or took down more flags than any other Rotary club in history, which included, as we always do, on flags on the Avenue. That's a perennial event for us. But we also were major participants, probably the major participant in the inaugural, first time ever, placement of flags at Miramar National Cemetery. So, Miramar is relatively new in terms of the military cemeteries nationwide, and they have never had a complete placement of flags on every grave marker until this past weekend. And there were over 17,000 flags placed on Saturday, and then picked back up on Tuesday. So it was really a special day to be out there and participating with all the other Rotary clubs that came as well. A special thanks to Daniel Stewart and Chris Kleiber for being section leaders. And I tell you, if you've ever herded cats, you would know this exercise very well. And I think we had 28 or 30 Rotarians from our club out there participating. Okay, final slide is the crew here right in town locally, having fun putting flags up on the avenue. Okay. All right. It's my pleasure then to turn it over to our newly designated RI nominating committee member for Zone 26, past District Governor John Matthews.
Thank you, President Bob. Haley and Bernice, would you come up, please? President Bob, fellow Rotarians and guests, the induction of a new member is indeed a great opportunity to welcome very special people into our club. I would like to ask Haley to introduce our newest inductee and give us her classification.
Thank you. President Rob, fellow Rotarians, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to my sister, not only in Rotary, but in the Chamber, Berenice Zamorro. She is in our banking industry, and she's been with our community for a very long time. It's a great pleasure to welcome her to the Coronado Room.
Bernice, we welcome you to the best Rotary Club in the entire universe, which is linked to a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving this world. Our club thanks you for your willingness to share the values of service and fellowship in Rotary. A new member in our club means fresh ideas, new energy, and greater fellowship, which leads to outstanding service. One of our major goals in this club is service above self, which means participating by saying yes when asked to serve, hence becoming part of our amazing people of action. Bernice, one question for you. What's your primary motivation for becoming a Rotarian?
Thank you. Thank you, Haley. It's a pleasure to be here today, and my motivation is to give back to the community where I work. And my values and those of Rotary are aligned. Thank you.
Thank you. We're lucky to have you. It is with great pleasure, and on behalf of our entire Board of Directors and all of our members, that we welcome you as the newest member of the Rotary Club of Coronado. Haley, please present Bernice with a Rotary pin. And we have an envelope of paraphernalia. Fellow Rotarians, please stand and give a warm welcome to our newest Coronado Rotarian.
Congratulations, Bernice, and thank you, past District Governor John. Okay, so we have a brand new Red Badger, and we're going to have an exciting time later on where we actually do some badge tag, red tag pulling. But right now it's my honor to turn over to Jane Simmerall and Gary Kennedy for Remembrance Day.
President Bob, fellow Rotarians and guests, today is Remembrance Day, the day that we remember and honor members of our club who have passed away during this Rotary year. Since 2006, Coronado Rotary has traditionally observed this special day around Memorial Day. And today we are remembering 3 Rotarians whom we have loved and lost, and will recognize some of their amazing accomplishments. Jerry Brown, Mickey Burke, and Jerry Winter. After Gary acknowledges each of our 3 Rotarians, I will ring a bell, and we will have a moment of silence.
Good afternoon, President Bob, fellow Rotarians and guests. This truly is an honor for both of us to do. The laboring or preparing all this, of course, is Jane, so she gets all the credit. I just get to read it. But it is amazing to see the bios of the people, these amazing Rotarians that you'll hear about today. So let me get on with it. First of all, we have Jerry Brown, who was just a recent member joining our firm, but it's amazing what he did in the short time that he was here, and an amazing individual as well, to say the least. His spouse, Courtney, has now passed away. They were married for 55 years. Children, Derek, Amy, who is here,
and Jesse, who's here also with his wife, Courtney. 2 grandchildren and 7 grandchildren, excuse me, and 1 great-grandchild. So way ahead of me, that's for sure. Born and raised in Guymon, Oklahoma. Guymon, excuse me, should have gone this over with you before. Guymon, excuse me. Bachelor of Science from the Oklahoma Panhandle State University, and a Master of Science from Naval Postgraduate School of Monterey. Jerry was both in the Army and the Navy, so that must have been a tough game to call on game day. Served 5 years as Field Artillery Officer in the Army, and then Naval Flight Officer, served for 30 years, retiring as a captain in 2004. He was with the Air Operations. He was an Air Operations Officer, Commander Task Force 72, Naval Postgraduate School, Assistant Director of Programs, and Dean of Students. This guy was a busy guy. Commanding Officer, Tactical Air Control Squadron 12, Commodore Tactical Training Group 1. On the community side, he was very active in the Coronado Little League as a coach. He was assistant varsity baseball coach for Coronado High School for 17 years. Adult men's senior baseball league coach. And a member of St. Paul's United Methodist Church. So let's talk about that Rotary service. Just in the 1 year that he was effectively in our club, less than 1 year, really. During those months, he served on 6 committees, correct, and was always willing to help wherever he could. Jerry Brown. Kind of going the other direction as far as a member of the club, who was a member for 26 years, I think. And we're talking about Mickey Burke. And a longtime Coronado, just a fixture in Coronado as far as, if you know, the Anderson family, Mickey Anderson Burke. Her spouse, Michael, married for 58 years. Michael couldn't be here today. Children, Sarah, Randy, Brian, and Julie. 6 grandchildren. As I said, she was born and raised in Coronado, and for those of you who know Coronado and Anderson's Bakery and Bud Anderson, his brother, were long time fixtures of the club, and very active in this Rotary Club as well, and really sort of the pioneers of at least the foundation of the Coronado Rotary Club. Attended San Diego Mesa College, and she was in property management. She was very active with the Pancake Breakfast Committee, the Golf Tournament Committee, the Low Tide Ride and Strike Committee, one of our favorites. And again, her father, Bud Anderson, was president of our club. And everybody remembers it. Bob knows this. 1951 to 1952. Mickey Burke. Last but certainly not least, Jerry Winter, another incredible Rotarian in our club, and a long-time member of our club. He was a member for 32 years. His wife, Joey, can be here today. They were married for 44 years. Children, Michael, Philip, Carla, David. 7 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. He was born in Minnesota, moved to San Diego at age 6, and he had also a Bachelor of Science at San Diego State University, but was also in the Korean War from 1951 to 1952. Then he embarked on many interesting professions. He was in management and offshore manufacturing. He was with Ryan Ergonomics. General Dynamics, Hughes Aircraft, founded a company in Oceanside that manufactured electronic components, expanding operations in Mexico, and then I believe he sold that, and then had more time to do all the things he did for Rotary in the community. He was active in the Boys and Girls Club of San Diego, board of directors. His Rotary list is quite long. I think you can see it there, maybe you can't. Major donor, Crown Fellow, in polio now, 1,000 Smiles, Limbs of Freedom, Rotarian of the Year 2010, and a Peacemaker Award in 2018. There isn't a Rotary event or a meeting that you would go to that you wouldn't see Jerry Winter, like many of you here, but he was truly one of the pillars of our club. Will be missed. Jerry Winter. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you, Gary and Jane, for your heartfelt presentation. And can I just take a moment of silence for our departed Rotarians? Okay, now, as I mentioned, we brought in a brand new Red Badger, and now we're going to start turning a couple of Red Badgers into full Blue Badgers. We'll start with Brandon Mather, who's going to do a Rotary Minute, followed by Who Am I?
Thank you, President Bob and fellow Rotarians. As a born and raised New Englander, for my Rotary Minute, I wanted to share about some of the famous Rotarians in history from the other coast. So from Connecticut, my home state, Mark Twain, one of our nation's most well-known authors, with books like The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, was also dedicated to social justice and served as a Rotarian from 1908 until his passing in 1910. Another famous Rotarian from Connecticut is the iconic actress Katharine Hepburn. Hepburn's fight for equality and her fearless spirit represent the Rotary ideal of diversity and inclusion. And then up the coast a little bit in Boston, a city with one of the nation's earliest Rotary clubs, Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, was also dedicated to philanthropy and education and served as a Rotarian. So these are just a few of the names of famous Rotarians from New England, but as a fun exercise, I suggest taking a look and seeing some of the other famous Rotarians from your home state and hometown as well. All right, so about me in 2 minutes. I spent my childhood in Storrs, Connecticut, a small farming community with probably more dairy cows than people. No movie theater, but also home to the NCAA men's basketball champions for 2 years running, the Yukon Huskies. Women's Huskies too, yes. Growing up there with my younger brother Kevin and my younger sister Jillian was a wonderful experience. Spent a lot of time outdoors in the woods, playing sports with friends, and meaningful time with family. Next slide. On the left there, that's my family celebrating my father at a financial advisory award ceremony. And I knew from a young age that I wanted to follow in my father's footsteps as a financial advisor, not only because of my passion for finance, but also because of how I saw his meaningful impact on all of his clients' lives. So I remember one morning, it was during a nor'easter, we were just sitting down to pancake breakfast on a Saturday, and my dad gets a call at 7 a.m. From one of his elderly clients who the night before had a branch fall on her roof. And I still remember today, without question, he put on his snow gear, he left the pancakes, no roofing experience at all, and he drove an hour in a nor'easter to go help one of his clients. And that's just one of the few acts I remember from my father that really kind of paved the way and made me want to be able to help people later on in life. After high school, I attended Indiana University, go Hoosiers, Kelly School of Business, and studied finance and entrepreneurship. And after college, I moved back to New England. Next slide. Spent some time in the city of Boston, where I got my foot in the door in finance. and actually got the opportunity to move cross-country to San Diego and give Southern California living a shot. So in 2013, I packed my car, not knowing anybody out here, and drove cross-country and just fell in love with Southern California and everything that it provides. So just last spring, actually, after traveling for 6 or 7 years, being on the road Monday through Friday, all over the West Coast, I was fortunate enough to meet fellow Rotarian Dan Gensler, and he provided me an opportunity to join his fantastic team as a financial advisor, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Next slide.
Oh, there we go.
When I'm not working, you can find me outdoors. I love climbing, visiting our national parks. I've done Half Dome and Mount Whitney several times. Love skiing, and also love surfing all of San Diego's local surf spots and spending time with my Rhodesian Ridgeback Bodie. Next slide. And 3 years ago, I met my partner, Abby Brown, and actually just this past Friday, I proposed to her. She said yes, and I've been on cloud 9 ever since. Don't really want to come down. So just wanted to thank you all, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you and really helping this wonderful community of ours in Coronado.
Congratulations, Brandon. And here comes Dan to do the ceremonial red tag pull, which is a lot like the tractor pull, only with a little less moves. Yeah, I know. So you've got to kind of just tap it and boom, it's good. All right. Well done as a sponsor for getting this guy over the wire. Congratulations, Brandon. Okay. Today we get not only one financial managing Red Badger to get converted, but Chris Shearhorn's going to come up and try to top that.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to go down here so I can see my slides a little better here. My name is Chris Shearhorn. This is my Rotary Minute, and who am I? Rotary Minute here. I know that Rotary's involved with supporting our veterans and troops. I wanted to know if Rotary did anything involving World War II and helping the troops. I did find that they were a big proponent of promoting world peace after World War I, starting in 1921. Rotary International amended the association's constitution to include the goal to aid in the advancement of international peace and goodwill through fellowship of business and professional men of all nations united in the Rotary ideal of service. So what I thought this was kind of bringing Rotary from local communities like we have here to intertwining the communities throughout the world. From 1936 to 1944, there was conventions throughout the world where they were promoting world peace and trying to prevent World War II, but ultimately did not, I guess. But and then one typo here, far right should be 1945. Rotary was one of the groups that the United States government used as a proponent to get out in the local community and promote the UN Charter and explain to people what it was all about and what they were trying to do. So that is my minute here. Now, who am I? I was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. I have a little red dot on the Alaska map. For those of you that don't know where Anchorage is, I'm the oldest of three. I have two little brothers, Brad and Eric. You see us on the right there. I'm the tallest one. And then I included a picture of some friends and family ice skating on a frozen lake. This is about 10 years ago. Alaska. People often ask me how my family ended up in Alaska, so quick story on that. My grandparents on my dad's side grew up in the Midwest. My grandpa was in road construction business, and he was told that he could make something like double or triple whatever he was making at the time if he moved from Des Moines, Iowa to Fairbanks, Alaska, and helped build the service road for the Alaska pipeline. So that was in the mid-50s. He moved to Fairbanks, which is right in the middle of the state. You guys can't read that, obviously. Too small, but right in the middle of the state. And so the Hall Road was his initial project from Fairbanks to the oil fields up on the Prudhoe Bay on the North Slope. And so that brought him to Alaska. And next slide. and just included a picture there so you can kind of see what it is. They're building, it's like a 400 or 500 mile stretch of gravel road through the middle of nowhere. Anyways, on to the next. So, born and raised, like I said, in Anchorage, graduated high school there. Went to college, University of Dallas. I played baseball there. I also went to school and graduated and just played baseball. And so undergraduate business, master's in accounting, and started my career as a public accountant at a regional CPA firm. Got my CPA and worked there for 3 years, which was long enough to realize that I didn't want to be an auditor for the next 40 years. And so I started working as a financial advisor. Moved out to San Diego in 2017. Started as a financial advisor at UBS, which is what I do now. Next slide. 2019, Amy and I got married in Coronado. We got married at the community center, but she wanted to get a picture in front of the Dell, so we snuck out and got a picture. Next slide. This is our families. On the left is my family, like I said, my brothers and their wives, and my grandma, who lives at the Coronado Retirement Village, thankfully right across from Sharp, so it's great I get to see her every week. And then Amy's family on the right, her sister and her parents. She grew up here. Some of you might know her parents, Pete and Stephanie Andres, and I know some people said that, but yeah, she born and raised here, and ultimately, she drew me here, which is a great community, and I'm happy to be here. Next slide, please. Included some pictures of what I like to do, or what Amy and I like to do. We like to be outdoors. We like to be active. Anything involving being outside in sports. So a couple pictures here. This is a backpacking trip we did near Mount Whitney, and a picture of us with my dad in Alaska near Glacier. Rafting. Amy and I doing a hike in Alaska at Alpine Lake, and then a big moose coming down the road. We like to fish too. This is a 70-pound halibut that I caught. And then Amy and I river fishing. Those are some salmon. And last but certainly not least, we're expecting our first baby in October. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Chris, thank you for that introduction, and it's my pleasure to detag you here. And ordinarily that'd be by Chris Keys, your sponsor, and she's out of town this week, but we will, once you guys are both back together at a meeting, we will have a ceremonial reenactment. For right now, I'm going to pull that tag. I'm going to leave it with you for a souvenir. Congratulations. I simply want to express my deep disappointment that we have 2 financial managing red badgers up here, and I didn't get any stock tips out of either one of them. So I'll give you one. Buy low, sell high. Okay, and with that, I'll turn it over to John Harbin, who is going to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, President Bob and fellow Rotarians. It's my honor to introduce Dan McAllister today. He's our county tax collector, as we are well aware when we write our checks to him twice a year. And now put a face to him. As a longtime tax attorney and CPA, I can appreciate the issues and the problems that Dan faces on a daily basis. It's hard to make everybody happy. He's getting issues thrown at him from down below, from the taxpayers, from up above, from Sacramento, and he has to deal with his staff as well. So he oversees over $14 billion of assets. So he has a significant oversight responsibilities. Received his bachelor's of science from Cal State Fresno and a master's in business administration from our local university, USIU. So it's an honor to welcome Ben McAllister.
Closer to your face.
Okay. Should I start over now? Probably not. Anyway, well, we've got a little bit of a mix here on different things that we want to cover, and then we'll leave some time for questions, unless we don't want to answer them, and then we'll move on to the next. But in any case, if you haven't heard this, I think it's well to listen. Einstein dies and goes to heaven. He is informed that his room is going to be ready soon, but not quite ready yet. I hope you will not mind waiting in our dorm, he is told, as I says back. That is a perfect fine, and I'm okay. So the doorman leads him to the dorm, and it says basically, well, here we are, here's your first roommate. He has an IQ of 180. Why, that's splendid, he says. We can discuss literature, we can discuss some of the finer points of academia. And here is your second gentleman. His IQ is 150. That will be terrific because we can talk about mathematics, anything in the market. We've got it.
Hold the mic a little closer.
Thank you again. Sorry about that.
Okay. So we're back with 150.
Okay, we're all right now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, in any case, so he comes across another gentleman all of a sudden, says, comes out from the back where he is standing. He says, I'm very sorry, but I'm your last roommate, and I want to apologize for the fact that my IQ is only 80. Einstein looks back at him and inquires, so where do you think interest rates are headed? It's timely. It's timely. Well, we don't need to fill up too many of those kinds of jokes. I know 30 years ago we had the help from Stephen Jobs, Bob Hope, and Johnny Cash. Now, despite visible in signs to the contrary, there are those who still think we have no jobs, no hope, and no cash. All right, let's talk some business. We've got a lot of things going on here. We have an employee base of 128 people, and we've had that since I took office 22 years ago. We are working hard really to kind of do good things for all the people. We brought some things with us that were helpful in doing that and achieving that. And I'll give you a couple of numbers that are pretty special to us, and that is that nearly 99% is our collected rate now, and has been, except for the COVID year or so. That only dropped to 98.6. So we're in the money all along here for the last 10 years, roughly, and it's a pleasure to work to see that kind of outcome. I think the other thing, too, that is interesting is that we do it with people who care about the citizens and about the taxpayers of San Diego. Much is said about the joking part of things and what we do, and people say, tax collector, come on. You know, but it's a necessary situation, and we all benefit from that in terms of the collections. I want to say this year, too, that payments have soared on the electric channels that are out there. We estimate this year that we'll be at about 76% done over electric means. That is a big breakthrough because it means that our people can do other things. We certainly say that all the tough things are behind us. We don't have people sitting opening envelopes per person or per ICE person, and that seems to work for us. It's a huge add-on to what we do. The pool of mine went somewhere else. 18 billion is where we hit this year at the end of the pool additions, and you should know that that is made up of about 200 different public agencies that we serve, and in a way of financial help, financial advice, and more importantly, making sure that things that they do are supposedly the right things that get done. And we work really hard. serving over 200 different functions. If you think about it, there are 42 public school districts in San Diego County. Each and every one of them has a superintendent. Each and every one of them has a vice superintendent. Each one of them, each one of them, each one of them. There's a lot going on that probably could consolidate in these tough times. And I'm curious to know how they will play out in the next 5 years or so, because budgets are tightening, if not tighter, than they were or have been for a long time. We also have a pension system that is hovering around $18 billion. I'm just a member of the board that oversees that activity, but it's good to note that things are in the positive and they're doing good things for all concerned. The last piece here I think is important too, and that is education. We provide a series of seminars throughout the year which bring notarized and authenticated people who are experts in different things, and even though some people don't want to talk about this or that or whatever, we are there to help, and we respond to knowing and needing what they need in terms of education. And last on this area, we have won 40 national awards for excellence and innovation over the last 22 years. And I think that our staff deserves really the bulk of the credit, because they work so hard at trying to do things and match things up so that everybody can benefit from what they do. So it's very positive. There are a couple of other things too before you. These are tax bills, in case you didn't know. These, we'll give you a pass on these, but the amount is probably that which you'd rather pay if you look at the amount due. But this has evolved over the last 22 years as a labor of love. We know that the first 6 months on the job, every time I would go out to speak, I would be criticized and definitely yelled at for having a lousy looking tax bill. And I thought, well, looking tax bill is not necessarily what we're after here. We're after the money. And what can you show us there? And just about that same time, I happened to be down at Copley Press, the Union Tribune offices at the time in Mission Valley, and a group of fifth graders came by on tour. And it was interesting because one of the schools there was Kate Sessions Elementary School, where I went in San Diego and City Beach. So I was very proud of that. But we talked to the members there, the teachers, and we said, do you ever get people to come from the community of business to come and talk to these kids and talk to them about math problems, and talk to them about accounting, and talk to them about some pretty basics, but they all thought that was a pretty good idea. And at the same time, there was a group of foreign nationals who seemed to stir things up big time internationally every year, at least every 3 or 4 years. And they are called the Rolling Stones. And once the Rolling Stones gets a hold of an idea, they just go for it. They go for everything. And I don't know how many of you are fans, but I am. And I've been to several different concerts around the country to watch them. That's pretty amazing, just pretty amazing. But nevertheless, we thought they put themselves on tour. Why don't we put the tax bill on tour? So we said, we'll take that around to meet with community people throughout San Diego County and say, what would make this better for you? How could you make this a better, more easily understood than what we have here? And first of all, they didn't throw things at me, but they were on the verge of it. And it said, show us what you're talking about. And so we said, we'll do what the Rolling Stones do pretty well, and that is take a tour of San Diego County and have public nights where people can come in and tell us what they want to see and how they can see better the document called the tax bill. And so we launched it, but we thought before we would take it out to show adults, we might test some kids to see what they thought of these ideas. So we took several different elementary schools and some junior high schools in San Diego and took it out. And it was fascinating because the kids had a different viewpoint of what all of us had in terms of what should be on the tax bill and what shouldn't. And we said, well, what can we do better? First hand went up at the first hearing. What about puppies? You see, what do you mean about puppies? Well, puppies, everybody loves puppies. They're soft, they're kind, they're gentle. And wouldn't it be nice if we could have nice colors on tax bill? Well, we didn't use that in the final analysis, but what we did use was the next little boy had an idea of living close to the ocean, living close to blues, and that's what we ended up doing after some testing to see whether people would respond well to blue as the color. It's passive, it's nice, and that was the explanation as to why this little boy wanted to have blue colors. Blue in the water, blue in the skylight. This is San Diego. And so you'll see there that we did our share of bluing, and it seems to have worked because the numbers keep rising as to how well people pay. It means they're paying attention. There was one other piece too that I couldn't understand at first. You may remember the old tax bill was a bill that looked in a horizontal way and caused people great anguish on how to tear them out without tearing up the whole bill. So, you know, I mean, if you think about it, people rush down to get a file cabinet from Costco, and they use that as their dumping ground until the next tax season, and they put it together, and things are good if they study up and know what people want. The other things that we saw were back of the bill, which is very important to us because it enabled us to reach out again and say, and stress free in a big letter mode to make sure that people know that they could do this electronically. And we think that that's one of the big reasons we won some national awards over making those assumptions, but testing them first and putting them out to the people in San Diego. There are a couple other things I'd like to say. First of all, you live in heaven. This is a wonderful place to be from. My high school graduating all colors at all times, but our senior prom was here at the I think up the hill more because this didn't exist then. Nevertheless, I'm very proud of the fact that this is not only second to none, it has the best parade in the whole world. And, I come and I'm in the parade every year, and I really believe in it because it's a sign of greatness when a group of people can get together and in a positive, no negatives way have that wonderful opportunity for all of you as well as all the other 250,000 people that show up, including the 5-mile people early in the morning. In any case, we have some programs too that are things that you ought to know about. People have a habit of leaving behind money, and we can't figure this out, but at different times we do have money to give back to people that are able to claim that that money is theirs. Some people may get a lending permit or some sort of permit document to do a construction project. They might build a new house, they might build a new barn, whatever it is they're going to do. We want to know about it, but on the other hand, they're so euphoric and happy once the thing is completed that they don't stop to go and push to get their money back in terms of the permits and things that go on. So what we've done is, and it's interesting to me too, that out of 58 counties in the state of California, only a few of those, my compatriots, take time to look for the people whose money this is. And it's sort of like the Robin Hood syndrome. You feel good about taking their money back to them, and everybody's happy that they got the money back. But this year only, we had about $500,000 that was out there waiting to be claimed. It didn't work the first few weeks. Finally, I talked to a press person. The guy said, well, you've got to give people more time. So why don't you extend the deal for another 4 weeks more, and let's see what happens. So we did that, and it opened up, and we ended up giving back about $250,000 of the money that belongs to the people. So that which is not claimed usually is claimed by the supervisors, and that money goes to the general fund for other purposes. But it's our job to make sure that all that zero out at some point goes back to the rightful owners, the people. And I think just two other things, if I could, and then we'll open it up to questions, if that's all right. I think that there are lots of good things that happen to come to us, and it's why we do taxes in the beginning. We won't bore you with that logic, but I think there are some things that need to be known, and that is that people don't realize how much of these tax dollars go to actually feed public services on a regular basis. And it's important that we all know what this tax is for. Nobody wants more taxes, but on the other hand, we want what's fair. And as long as it's fair and balanced, that's a helpful attitude, we think. There are lots to be said about paying online. It just seems to be the right thing to do. And once we get past the cover sheet and go on to other forms of tax that already exist, we're going to remodel all those as well. So we're working hard for that. And then I think the only other two things I wanted to talk about were Prop 19 and Prop 13. Prop 13 first because it's the oldest, but 1978 is when it was sworn in and passed by the voters. And its purpose was to protect the interests of people, primarily retirees, and people that didn't have the opportunity to go out and make more money because they had reached the culmination of a career and wanted to be treated well. And it got out of hand because the state legislature, it sounds like they work hard to get out of hand on a regular board, in my opinion. But it's interesting to watch them work and know that it isn't always in the people's best interest to go along with everything that comes down from Sacramento. You know that. That's the only partisan thing I'll say. It's important, I think, to note that some good-hearted people and some strong people and some strong leadership on both Republican and Democratic side got together and passed Prop 13. So it was bipartisan, and it has worked really well. And that was before our population numbers changed a lot. When it passed, we had about 8 or 9 million people in the state of California. Now we have almost 40 million people in the state of California, and that additional number is made up of a lot of people that have never heard of Prop 13 before and don't care, and assume that you're being given some benefit they don't get. So it's interesting for us to try to see what we can do to turn that around to make sure people are aware and they can feed people that need to be explained to as to what it would mean to change the structure of Prop 13. And it's coming at a ballot stop somewhere near you. It's hard to figure out when they're going to schedule these days, but if you follow the news, you'll know when. And it's just something I would urge you to keep your eyes on because it could result in a lot of things that are adverse to our best interest. The second thing is, too, Prop 19. Prop 19 affects the pass down of parents to children that used to be sort of not free, but it used to be part of a system that ignored everything but this, and this was basically automatically the assets of the parents moved to the children when the parents passed. That was how simple it was. But things have happened a lot, and people got before a camera and they got before raising money, and a number of entities got together and passed Prop 19 without really considering what was about to happen. And I can't give you all the nuances. I think the assessor would be a better candidate to come to one of your meetings and explain it because it's a huge issue that takes away a lot of the benefit that all of us have, and we don't want to give it up. So I would encourage that to come and listen to him give you the ins and outs of it, because I think the session people are the ones that crafted things after it was passed. So those are just some good things to remember. Prop 19, Prop 13, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have. Yes, sir. Hold the mic up.
There, yeah, I'll make sure I hold the mic up. I was just curious where that $500,000 was and how I can get a hold of it. What money was that you were talking about, and how does someone recover it? Hold the mic up.
All right. Next question.
Yeah.
I think that there are plenty of things. Sometimes when you go to the Humane Society, you buy some sort of animal. You put some money down, and it's refundable in some ways. You build a new house. You build a new this. You build a new that. You want attractive housing. All of those things have related pieces to that money. Many people claim it and get it and don't have to go through the process, but a lot don't. And 500,000 is fairly moderate compared to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, John
Yes,
Hartman. Again, can you oversee over $18 billion of assets you mentioned? What kind of restrictions do you have in terms of the investments? Can you make investments in the stock market? What limitations do you have?
No, and no. We are just sworn now. You may remember in 1994, there was an upheaval because one county information, Orange County, went bankrupt. It was the largest municipal bankrupt in the history of, I'd like to say mankind, but it's not that far. But it's out there. And so I think what happened was people thought that they could get away with doing things such as buying their way back into the markets by taking more risk. And they were allowed to do it because nobody was checking them. And so that's what caused the tipsy-turvy of the nature of what was going on. So instead of just very plain, walls of people that wanted to make sure their money was there for their elementary school districts, for their other districts, and things like that. As I said, 42 public school districts in the county of San Diego. But in case you're wondering, the airport has had efforts before it, as well as Sandag, any number of others recently. And that's where we safekeep their money for them. And we invest only in fixed income. We maintain our AAA ratings through all of this lately. And we've been able to we meet with one of the 8 firms next week, in fact, just to talk about what we're doing, who we're doing it with. So at least they have a good audit ability on the outside to look at what we're really doing. And it's something that goes no stocks, no REITs, no nothing in the way of it. I mean, I know people who manage lots of money and buy a lot of non-fixed income in hopes that the big ones are on the way. But that doesn't happen always. And so the mission is to keep ours very straight and level and helpful to the people that put the money in trust to us. I hope that helps. Yes?
I was curious, do you have a number of how many properties in the county of San Diego have been
since Prop 13 passed?
Yeah, since Prop 13.
Yeah. The number is dropping, but it still applies. And by that I mean the number of people that originally were beneficiaries out front can no longer say that because they've either moved, they passed on, they got divorced, all kinds of things happen to people. And it's just changed. But the answer to the question is you have importance to be done, by passing things that are important. And it's important to note that we are looking for safety first and making sure that the monies that we have are in good condition and protected. I hope that helps. Yes,
hey, Dan, thanks for being here today. Quick question. What possessed you? I mean, what inspired you to become the tax collector 20 years ago?
A number of friends and other people. I was a broker, stockbroker. So we had kind of a group of people in La Jolla. I worked with them for a number of years. And when the opportunity came, it wasn't exactly my dream date. I'm thinking that this is for me, or this is something I really hadn't even given a thought. But I had a group of friends that kind of circled around and we nuzzled with ideas and trying to come up with good things and good people for office. And we had gotten together at one of the morning hangouts in the Hobnob restaurant up in San Diego. And at the time, it's still there, but it's changed a lot. And the eggs are still the same. But in any case, it's interesting that we can have dialogue that brings people from different areas and places together to say, what can we do about this? At the time, there was an officer, official, treasurer tax collector who did some things that were pretty strange. And somebody said, we need to find somebody to run for this office. Because if we find somebody, we can support them, and that'll be great. And so we'll all get back here in 3 or 4 weeks and come up with nominees, people that we think would be good to run for office or help run for office. And I got a call one day saying, get your calendar out, from one of the people at the morning breakfast. And they said, well, it's not, I coach soccer for my kids, I coach softball for my daughter's team, I do all these things that are after the market closes, because I've got to do time to do it. But the reality was that we weren't too sure, and I said, well, it's not really important for me to be there, Pat. This guy's name is Pat. And he said, well, yes, it is, because you're the guy we think should run. And so the whole group said, much like I saw earlier, runs away quick. In any case, that was the start of it. And it wasn't something grad school talked about. It wasn't anything people talked about. Because it was a rather benign place. But you can see from the numbers that it's so important. And it's important to have people that care, and people that are watchful over your money. And that's what drove us as a group, I think, to support.
Well, thank you for serving as our treasurer and tax collector.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our interview today. Not so fast, Dan. First, on behalf of the club, let me thank you for coming to share a look behind the curtain at the business of collecting our taxes. And it's appropriate that I award you what we commonly provide for our speakers, which is not much, but its message is very powerful. And it's the Rotary four-way test. And among the four-way test elements are, is it fair to all concerned? And one of the others is, will it build goodwill for all concerned? And I, for one, will say I think you're doing a fine job of meeting those particular elements of our four-way test. And thank you for supporting us and representing us in this very important community function. So once again, thank you for joining us. Next week, we will be back at the Coronado Yacht Club, and we will be hearing from Lou DePere, who is going to share a very interesting program on the lived history of World War II and Korea. And You're looking for an easy exit. Okay, I believe stage right or stage left works just fine. You got it? Oh, I see. Okay. All right, with that, I'm going to wish you all a great Rotary week, and remember, service above self.